The small auto repair shop sat at the edge of San Antonio, where dust clung to every window and the sound of passing trucks never fully faded. Marcus Reed wiped grease from his hands, glancing at the clock mounted above the tool rack. 6:45.
See this?
Another
It's the spark
14-hour
plug.
day drawing to a
Wow,
close.
can I help?
Go
The
for
kind
it,
of
sweetie.
shift that kept
Okay,
his
let's
mind
tighten this.
occupied and his memories at bay. The garage smelled of oil and metal, familiar scents that had replaced the smell of his son's shampoo, the laundry detergent his wife used to buy, all the domestic fragrances that once defined home. He moved through the space with military precision, each tool returned to its designated spot on the pegboard, wrenches arranged by size, smallest to largest, socket sets nested in their trays, the floor swept clean of metal shavings and cardboard packaging. Order was something Marcus could control when everything else had slipped through his fingers like transmission fluid. The photograph sat on his desk, face down as always. He never looked at it during work hours, never allowed
See this?
himself
It's the
that
spark plug.
particular indulgence
Wow,
when
can I
customers
help?
might
Go
walk
for
in
it, sweetie.
and ask
Okay,
questions
let's
he had
tighten
no
this.
intention of answering. The frame held a 10-year-old boy in a racing helmet, gap-toothed smile wide enough to crack the world open. Ethan had been gone 5 years now, and Marcus had mastered the art of functioning without feeling, working without remembering, breathing without really living. His hand moved toward the garage door control when headlights swept across the lot. Marcus hesitated, finger hovering over the button. Closing time meant closing time. He had maintained that boundary for years, ever since the divorce finalized, and he realized the only thing standing between him and complete dissolution was routine. Show up at 6, work until 7, go home,
See
eat
this? It's
something
the
from a
spark plug.
box,
Wow,
sleep,
can I help?
Go
repeat.
for it, sweetie.
Okay, let's
But
tighten
something made him
this.
stop. The silver Honda Accord rolled into the lot with a kind of mechanical cough that spoke of serious neglect. The engine wheezed and sputtered, steam rising from under the hood in white plumes that caught the fluorescent light. Marcus watched as the car jerked to a stop near the entrance, close enough that he could see the driver's hands trembling on the steering wheel. A young woman emerged first, no older than mid-20s, wearing a waitress uniform stained with what looked like ketchup and coffee. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail that had gone limp sometime around hour 6 of what Marcus suspected had been a brutal shift. She moved with the careful exhaustion of someone who had been
See
running on
this? It's the
fumes
spark
for
plug.
too long.
Wow, can I help?
Every
Go
gesture
for it,
measured to
sweetie.
conserve
Okay, let's
energy
tighten this.
she no longer possessed. From the back seat, a small girl climbed out, clutching a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. The toy's fur was matted, one ear hanging by threads, but the child held it like a talisman against the unfamiliar darkness of an auto shop after hours. She couldn't have been more than 8, all wide eyes and careful observation, taking in the garage the way Ethan used to examine new places, with curiosity tempered by caution. Marcus felt something crack in his chest, a hairline fracture in the armor he had so carefully constructed. The girl stayed close to the woman's leg, her free hand gripping the fabric of the waitress uniform. The woman
See this?
took a
It's
deep
the spark
breath,
plug.
squaring
Wow,
her
can I help?
shoulders in a
Go for
gesture
it, sweetie.
Marcus recognized.
Okay, let's tighten this.
He had seen it in the mirror often enough, the physical act of gathering courage when every instinct screamed to retreat. Her voice shook slightly when she spoke, barely audible over the dying engine's rattle. "I know you're closing. I can come back tomorrow if that's better." Marcus stood in the doorway, backlit by the garage's fluorescent panels, creating a silhouette that probably looked more intimidating than he intended. He considered sending them away, should have sent them away. The boundary between work and home existed for a reason. Instead, he heard himself say, "Pop the hood." No inflection, no warmth, just the flat
See this? It's
directive
the
of a
spark plug.
mechanic who had
Wow,
agreed
can
to
I
look
help?
at one
Go for
more
it, sweetie.
problem
Okay, let's
before the
tighten
day
this.
ended. He didn't ask their names, didn't offer his own, maintained the professional distance that had served him well for half a decade. The woman fumbled with the hood release, her movements clumsy with relief or anxiety or both. The hood lifted with a groan, revealing an engine bay that told a story of deferred maintenance and mounting desperation. Oil caked around the valve cover. Coolant leaked from somewhere near the radiator. The serpentine belt hung in shreds, barely clinging to the pulleys it was meant to drive. Marcus leaned in, his trained eye cataloging failures with the speed of long practice. The alternator struggled without its belt. Battery terminals corroded to the point of barely maintaining connection.
Go for it, sweetie.
But it was the battery cable that made him pause, made him look closer at the frayed copper strands. The cut marks were clean. Too clean. He straightened, wiping his hands on a rag that was already more grease than cloth. Someone tampered with this. The woman went pale, all the blood draining from her face in a rush that left her swaying slightly. Her hand shot out to steady herself against the car's fender. "What do you mean?" Marcus pointed to the cable, indicating the slice marks with the tip of his screwdriver. "This isn't wear. This is a knife cut. Deliberate. Who else has keys to your car?"
It's the spark plug.
Wow,
The
can I
little
help?
girl's grip
Go for
on the
it,
stuffed
sweetie.
rabbit
Okay,
tightened.
let's tighten
Marcus
this.
noticed her knuckles going white, her breathing changing rhythm in a way that suggested she understood more than a child her age should about danger and the men who caused it. The woman's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Just me. And Mia's father. But we've been separated 7 years." The name hung in the air. Mia. The little girl with the worn rabbit and the 2 old eyes. Marcus forced himself not to look at her directly, knowing that if he did, he would see Ethan's face superimposed over hers, would hear his son's laugh echoing in the industrial space of the garage.
See this?
He turned
It's the
back
spark
to the
plug.
engine,
Wow, can I
calculating
help?
costs
Go
in his
for it,
head.
sweetie.
Okay, let's
New
tighten
belt,
this.
maybe $40. Battery terminal cleaning, $10. Labor, another $150 if he charged his normal rate. Total repair, right around $200 for work that would take him maybe 20 minutes if he didn't get distracted. He glanced back at the woman, Emily, though he didn't know that yet, and saw her pulling a worn wallet from her apron pocket. She opened it with the careful movements of someone who already knew exactly how much money sat inside, down to the last crumpled dollar bill. Her fingers counted out 50s and 10s, lips moving silently as she calculated whether she could cover the repair and still afford gas to get home, groceries for the week,
See
whatever
this?
other
It's the
bills
spark plug.
crowded her kitchen table
Wow,
at
can I
night.
help? Go for it, sweetie.
Marcus looked
Okay,
at the
let's
little
tighten
girl again.
this.
Mia wore sneakers that had been repaired with duct tape, the silver strips carefully smoothed over a split in the rubber sole. Her jacket came from a thrift store, judging by the faded cartoon character on the front. Some movie that had been popular 3 years ago, already outdated by the relentless pace of children's entertainment. The decision made itself, bypassing his careful logic and tapping into something deeper, something he had tried to bury along with his son. His voice came out rougher than he intended. "No charge." Emily blinked, her hand frozen in the act of counting bills. "I'm sorry?" Marcus was already reaching for his toolbox, pulling out the belt he kept in stock for
See
Honda
this?
engines.
It's the spark plug.
Exactly
Wow,
this
can
model.
I help? Go for it,
Exactly
sweetie.
this
Okay,
year.
let's tighten this.
He bought parts in bulk when prices dropped, stored them on shelves that had too much empty space since he stopped taking on apprentices. "It's a simple fix. 20 minutes. I've got the parts already." Emily stepped forward, her voice rising with a mixture of desperation and pride. "I can't accept charity. I can pay something now and the rest next week. I just need to—" Marcus cut her off, not unkindly, but with the firmness of someone who had made up his mind and wouldn't be argued out of it. "This belt costs me nothing. I buy them wholesale. The labor is 20 minutes I would have spent cleaning up anyway. Your car's a safety hazard the way it is. I'm
See
not
this?
sending you
It's the
back
spark
out on the
plug.
highway with
Wow,
bad brakes
can I help?
and no
Go for it,
alternator charging
sweetie.
your battery.
Okay, let's tighten this.
He didn't mention that he was lying about the wholesale cost. Didn't mention that those 20 minutes were cutting into the 40-minute buffer he needed to get home, microwave dinner, and sit in front of the television until exhaustion finally pulled him under. Didn't mention that he had already decided to stay as long as it took to make the car safe, even if that meant working until midnight. Emily's eyes filled with tears she was too proud to let fall. Why would you help a complete stranger? Marcus fitted the new belt onto the crankshaft pulley, his hands moving with the muscle memory of 10,000 similar repairs. Because someone helped me once when I needed it. He didn't elaborate, didn't explain
See
that
this? It's
someone
the
had
spark
been
plug.
a VA counselor
Wow, can I
who had
help?
found him
Go
3
for it,
days
sweetie.
after Sarah
Okay,
left,
let's tighten this.
sitting in this very garage with Ethan's racing helmet in his lap and a bottle of bourbon empty beside him. Didn't explain that the help had come in the form of a phone number scrawled on a business card, a weekly meeting in a church basement where men who had lost pieces of themselves learned to function with the fragments that remained. While Marcus worked, Mia drifted away from her mother's side. She moved through the garage with the tentative steps of an explorer in unknown territory, her gaze catching on the organized chaos of an active workspace. She studied the diagnostic computer in the corner, the tire changer gathering dust
See this?
against
It's
the
the
far
spark plug.
wall,
Wow,
the
can I
pneumatic
help?
lifts
Go for
that
it,
could raise a
sweetie.
2-ton
Okay, let's tighten
vehicle
this.
6 feet in the air. She stopped at Marcus's desk, her attention snagged by the picture frame lying face down. Her small hand reached out, hesitated, then carefully lifted the frame to see the image hidden beneath. Ethan smiled back at her from 5 years in the past, frozen in a moment of pure joy. He wore his racing suit, the cheap one Marcus had bought from a second-hand sporting goods store, not the expensive gear the other kids on the karting circuit flaunted. Behind him, a small silver trophy caught the light. First place in the junior division. The only race he had won before the drunk
See this?
driver
It's
ran
the
the
spark
red
plug.
light on a December
Wow, can I
evening
help? Go for
and
it,
ended
sweetie.
everything.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Mia's voice was soft, almost reverent. Is this your son? Marcus's hands stilled on the socket wrench. He didn't turn around, didn't trust himself to look at her while discussing Ethan. The belt was halfway installed, tensions set but not locked. He forced his fingers to keep working, to maintain the steady rhythm that kept panic at bay. Yeah. Mia studied the photograph with the intensity children bring to important things, her eyes tracing the details adults might miss. The way Ethan's helmet sat slightly crooked, the dirt smudge
See
on
this?
his
It's
cheek,
the spark plug.
the way
Wow,
his
can I
smile
help?
showed
Go
more
for it,
gum
sweetie.
than teeth.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Where is he now? The socket wrench slipped, barking Marcus's knuckles against the engine block. He tasted copper, realized he had bitten the inside of his cheek hard enough to draw blood. He's not here anymore. The words came out flat, carefully drained of emotion. Marcus had learned that trick in the weeks after the funeral, when well-meaning neighbors and customers kept asking about Ethan, kept offering condolences that scraped like sandpaper against exposed nerves. Say it fast, say it simple, move on before they can ask follow-up questions. But Mia didn't ask the expected questions, didn't push for details
See this? It's
or
the spark
offer
plug.
childish
Wow,
platitudes.
can I help?
She simply
Go
nodded,
for it, sweetie.
her small
Okay, let's
face
tighten
grave
this.
with understanding that belonged to someone much older. My dad's not here either. She set the frame down carefully, adjusting it to the exact angle she had found it, respecting the boundary of Marcus's grief, even as she acknowledged her own loss. But you're different. Marcus finally turned to look at her, unable to stop himself. She met his gaze without flinching, this 8-year-old girl with the ratty stuffed rabbit and the repaired shoes. You fix things that are broken. The statement landed like a fist to his solar plexus. Marcus opened his mouth to respond, found he had no words adequate
See
to the
this?
moment.
It's the spark plug.
He turned
Wow,
back
can
to
I
the
help?
engine,
Go for it,
his hands
sweetie.
trembling
Okay, let's tighten
slightly
this.
as he tightened the belt tensioner to spec. 20 minutes became 30 as he triple-checked his work, unwilling to send them back onto the road with anything less than his best effort. He cleaned the battery terminals, applied dielectric grease to prevent future corrosion, topped off the coolant, checked the tire pressure and found 3 of the 4 running dangerously low, added air, inspected the brake pads through the wheel spokes, and felt his stomach drop at how thin they had worn. He made a note to himself to order pads, install them next time Emily brought the car in. If she brought the car in. If she didn't vanish back into the anonymity of San Antonio's sprawl, another struggling mother
See this?
in a
It's the
city
spark
full of
plug.
people fighting
Wow,
to keep
can
their
I help?
heads above
Go
water.
for it, sweetie.
Okay, let's
When he
tighten
finally
this.
straightened, wiping his hands one last time, Emily was watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Gratitude mixed with suspicion, relief tempered by the learned wariness of someone who had been offered help before, only to discover it came with strings attached. She pulled a napkin from her apron pocket, clicked a pen, scrawled something in hurried script. "This is my number, in case I can repay you somehow. Babysitting or cleaning, or I can bring you lunch from the diner, I get a discount." Marcus took the napkin, careful not to let their fingers touch, maintaining the professional distance even as something warm and terrifying stirred in his chest.
See this?
Car's
It's
ready.
the spark plug.
Should run smooth
Wow,
now.
can I help? Go for
Emily
it, sweetie.
turned the key
Okay,
with
let's
the tentative
tighten
hope
this.
of someone who had been disappointed by mechanical promises before. The engine caught immediately, settling into a purr that was probably the smoothest it had sounded in months. Her face lit up, exhaustion temporarily erased by the simple relief of a problem solved, a crisis averted. Mia climbed into the back seat, buckling herself in with practiced efficiency. She pressed her face to the window, watching Marcus with those 2 knowing eyes. As Emily shifted into reverse, Mia raised one small hand in goodbye. Marcus lifted his own hand in response, the gesture automatic, unexpected. He stood in the garage doorway as the silver Accord pulled out of the lot
See
and
this? It's the
disappeared
spark
into
plug.
the night.
Wow, can I help?
Taillights
Go
fading
for it,
like
sweetie.
dying stars
Okay, let's tighten
against
this.
the dark Texas sky. The napkin remained in his hand, Emily's phone number written in the shaky handwriting of someone who had been on her feet for 12 hours straight. He should throw it away, should maintain the boundary he had so carefully constructed, should go home and pretend the last hour hadn't happened, hadn't created a crack in the wall he had built between himself and the world. Instead, he walked to his desk, opened the top drawer, and placed the napkin inside. Next to the maintenance logs and the warranty cards and the business cards he never used. He told himself it was just in case the car broke down again. Just practical record keeping.
See this? It's the spark
Nothing
plug.
more.
Wow, can I help?
He
Go
locked
for
up
it,
the garage
sweetie.
20 minutes
Okay, let's
later than
tighten
usual.
this.
The routine disrupted, but not destroyed. The drive home took him through neighborhoods he knew by heart, past the elementary school Ethan had attended, the park where they used to practice racing starts on the walking path. Marcus kept his eyes on the road, refusing to indulge in the memories that lurked in every familiar landmark. His house sat in a quiet subdivision, a small ranch-style structure with a yard he rarely mowed and a porch he never used. He had bought it when Ethan was 6, back when Sarah still smiled at him across the breakfast table, when the future stretched ahead with the bright promise of normal family milestones, middle school, high school, college applications,
See this? It's the
grandchildren
spark plug.
someday.
Wow, can I help?
Now the
Go
house
for it,
felt
sweetie.
like a mausoleum,
Okay, let's tighten this.
full of rooms he couldn't enter and memories he couldn't escape. He ate frozen pizza standing at the kitchen counter, washing it down with beer that had gone slightly flat from sitting open in the refrigerator too long. The television played highlights from a football game he didn't care about. sound filling the silence, but not dispelling the sense of absence that permeated every corner of his life. At 10:30, he walked down the hallway, past the master bedroom he slept in, past the guest room he used for storage. He stopped at the third door, the one that had remained closed for 5 years. His hand rested on the knob, familiar metal worn smooth by years of use.
See this?
He
It's
didn't
the
open
spark
it.
plug.
Wow,
Never
can I help?
opened it.
Go for it, sweetie.
But
Okay, let's
standing
tighten
here
this.
had become part of his nightly ritual, a moment of acknowledgement before sleep claimed him. Behind that door, Ethan's room waited exactly as it had been left. Unmade bed, model cars arranged on shelves, posters of race drivers whose names Marcus could still recite from memory. Sarah had wanted to clear it out before she left, had argued that keeping a shrine wouldn't bring their son back, would only trap them both in amber, unable to move forward. Marcus had refused. They fought about it for 3 days straight, their voices rising to shouts that the neighbors probably heard, accusations flying like shrapnel. She left on a Tuesday morning while he was at work.
See this?
Took
It's
her
the spark
clothes,
plug.
her books,
Wow, can I
her
help?
half of their
Go
savings,
for it, sweetie.
Okay,
left
let's
the
tighten
furniture,
this.
the house, the wedding ring sitting on the bathroom counter with a note that said only, "I can't do this anymore." Marcus had read the note exactly once, then torn it into pieces small enough that no archaeologist could ever reassemble the words. He flushed the fragments down the toilet and never spoke Sarah's name aloud again. He turned away from Ethan's door, entered his own bedroom, collapsed onto sheets he changed every Sunday with the mechanical efficiency of someone following a checklist. Sleep came eventually, dreamless and dark, offering 6 hours of oblivion before his alarm dragged him back to consciousness and the cycle began again. 3 days passed in the familiar
this?
rhythm
It's
of
the spark plug.
maintenance and repair.
Wow, can
Marcus
I help?
diagnosed
Go
a
for it,
transmission
sweetie.
problem from
Okay,
Mrs.
let's
Chen,
tighten this.
who taught 3rd grade at the elementary school and always brought him homemade cookies at Christmas. He replaced brake pads on a contractor's work truck, listening to the man complain about lumber prices and labor shortages. He rotated tires, changed oil, rebuilt carburetors, and kept his head down, his hands busy, his heart carefully locked away. On Thursday evening, his phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Marcus almost didn't answer, his finger hovering over the decline button. But something, instinct or curiosity, or the same impulse that had made him stay open 3 nights ago, made him accept the call. Emily's voice came through the speaker, tight with controlled panic. "Mr. Reed, this is Emily,
See this? It's the spark
the
plug.
woman with the Honda."
Wow, can I help? Go for
Marcus
it,
straightened in
sweetie.
his chair,
Okay, let's
setting
tighten
down
this.
the invoice he had been reviewing. "Car giving you trouble?" A pause, long enough that he thought the connection might have dropped. Then, "No, the car's perfect. I'm calling because I needed advice." Marcus waited, giving her space to continue. He heard traffic noise in the background, the distant wail of a siren, the kind of ambient sound that meant she was calling from somewhere public, somewhere she felt unsafe making this conversation private. Her next words came in a rush. "The person who cut my battery cable? He came back. Showed up at my apartment last night. He's Mia's father. We have a restraining order, but that's just paper, you know? It doesn't actually stop him." Marcus's
See
grip
this? It's
tightened
the
on the
spark
phone
plug.
hard enough that
Wow,
the
can I
plastic
help?
case
Go
creaked.
for it, sweetie.
Okay,
Did he
let's
hurt
tighten
you?
this.
Emily's laugh was bitter, hollow. "Not yet, but he will. He's angry and drunk, and he knows about Mia's medical bills. He thinks he can leverage that somehow, force his way back into our lives." Medical bills. Marcus filed that information away, another piece of the puzzle that was this woman's life. He stood, pacing the small office space, his mind already running through scenarios and solutions. What did the police say? Another bitter laugh. That they'll come if he violates the order, but they can't post an officer outside my apartment. They can't stop him from following me, watching, waiting. They just said to document everything and call 911
See
if he
this?
shows
It's the
up
spark
again.
plug.
Wow, can I help?
Marcus knew
Go
about
for
the
it,
limitations
sweetie.
of
Okay,
restraining
let's tighten
orders.
this.
Had seen them fail too many times in his years before he opened the garage, back when he wore a uniform and carried a sidearm and believed the system actually protected people who needed protecting. His voice came out harder than he intended. What's his name? Emily hesitated. Derek Mills. But I'm not asking you to. I don't want you to get involved. I needed to tell someone who wouldn't tell me I'm overreacting. Marcus pulled a notepad toward him, scrawled the name in block letters. You're not overreacting. A man who sabotages a car
this?
with a
It's the
child
spark plug.
inside is
Wow,
capable
can
of
I help?
worse.
Go for it, sweetie.
He could hear
Okay,
her
let's
breathing
tighten
change,
this.
the hitch that preceded tears. She was trying not to cry, fighting for composure even over the phone with a near stranger. Marcus recognized that fight, had lost it himself more times than he could count in the first year after Ethan's death. His voice softened, the Texas drawl becoming more pronounced. Where are you now? Emily gave him an address, a coffee shop in a strip mall on the south side. Marcus knew the area, knew it was the kind of neighborhood where people minded their own business and trouble could escalate before anyone thought to intervene. He looked at the clock. 7:15. He
See
should
this?
be heading
It's the
home.
spark plug.
Should
Wow,
maintain
can
the
I help?
boundary.
Go for it,
Should
sweetie.
wish her
Okay,
well
let's
and
tighten
end the
this.
call and forget her number. Instead, he grabbed his jacket from the hook by the door. Stay there. Public place, lots of people around. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up before she could protest, before his rational mind could override the instinct driving his actions. The drive took him through rush-hour traffic, past strip malls and franchise restaurants, and the bland architecture of suburban sprawl. He found the coffee shop tucked between a payday loan store and a shuttered barber shop, its neon sign flickering in the gathering dusk. Emily sat in a booth near the back, Mia beside her, working on homework spread
See
across
this?
the
It's
table.
the spark plug.
Wow,
Both of them
can I
looked
help?
up when
Go
Marcus
for it,
walked
sweetie.
Okay,
and he
let's
saw
tighten this.
relief flash across Emily's face before she could mask it with embarrassed gratitude. He slid into the booth across from them, noting the way Mia's eyes tracked his movements, cataloging his presence for future reference. The stuffed rabbit sat on the seat beside her, one ear now completely detached, held on by a single thread. Marcus didn't waste time on pleasantries. Tell me everything. Emily did, her voice low enough that the teenager working the counter couldn't overhear. She outlined Derek's history, the drugs, the violence, the choice he had made 7 years ago to sign away his parental rights in exchange for $5,000. She described last night's confrontation,
See
the
this?
way
It's
he
the
had
spark
pounded
plug.
on her door
Wow,
at 11
can
at
I
night,
help? Go for
shouting
it,
about his
sweetie.
daughter,
Okay, let's
his
tighten
rights,
this.
his second chance. She explained about Mia's medical condition, the ventricular septal defect that required surgery within the next 6 weeks, or the child's heart would fail. $80,000 after insurance. Except Emily didn't have insurance because the 2 part-time jobs she worked didn't offer benefits, and the marketplace plans cost more than her rent. Marcus listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening with each new revelation. When she finally ran out of words, slumping back against the vinyl booth with the exhaustion of someone who had been carrying too much weight for too long, he leaned forward. His voice was quiet, but carried the authority of someone who had made a decision and wouldn't be swayed.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Here's what's
Wow,
going to
can I
happen.
help? Go for it, sweetie.
You're going to file
Okay,
a
let's
police
tighten
report
this.
about last night. Document everything. Then you're going to call a locksmith and change your locks. I know a guy who'll do it cheap. I'll text you his number. Emily opened her mouth to speak, but Marcus continued, overriding her objection. For the car, I'm installing a kill switch tomorrow. Free of charge. Derek won't be able to disable it without me walking him through the process, and I'm not inclined to help him. He pulled a business card from his wallet, one he had been carrying for 3 years and never used. The name read Jennifer Palmer, CPS caseworker. with a number Marcus had memorized but never dialed. If Derek escalates,
See this?
if he
It's the
tries to
spark
claim
plug.
you're an unfit
Wow,
mother,
can I
you
help?
call
Go
this
for it,
woman
sweetie.
first.
Okay, let's tighten
She's
this.
fair, and she doesn't jump to conclusions. Emily took the card with shaking hands, her eyes searching Marcus's face for the angle, the catch, the price that would eventually come due. Why are you doing this? The question hung in the air between them. Marcus looked at Mia, who had stopped pretending to do homework and was watching him with those ancient eyes. He thought about Ethan, about all the help that had come too late, about the drunk driver who had walked away from the crash with nothing more than a broken wrist and a suspended license. His voice came out rougher than he intended. Because I couldn't save my son. Maybe I can help save someone else's kid. The words created a silence that stretched
See this?
and
It's the
deepened.
spark plug.
Emily's eyes
Wow,
filled with
can I
tears.
help? Go for
She
it,
finally
sweetie.
let fall,
Okay, let's tighten this.
tracking mascara down her cheeks in dark rivers. Mia reached across the table, her small hand finding Marcus's larger one, her touch light but deliberate. She didn't say anything, didn't need to. The gesture spoke volumes about trust and hope and the desperate faith children place in adults who show them kindness. Marcus carefully extracted his hand, uncomfortable with the contact, but unwilling to hurt her feelings with a harsh rejection. He stood, fishing in his pocket for cash to cover their coffees and whatever snacks they had ordered. I need to get going. You have my number. Use it if Derek shows
See
up
this?
again.
It's the spark plug.
He
Wow,
left
can I
before
help?
Emily
Go
could
for
thank
it,
him
sweetie.
again.
Okay, let's
Before the
tighten
weight
this.
of their gratitude could pin him in place and force him to confront the emotions he was working so hard to avoid. The drive home felt longer than 20 minutes. Every mile weighted with the knowledge that he had just stepped across a line he had sworn never to cross. That night, he stood in front of Ethan's door for 10 minutes instead of his usual 30 seconds. Behind the wood, his son's room waited in perfect preservation, a museum to a life cut short. Marcus pressed his palm flat against the door, feeling the grain of the wood, the slight give of the frame. He spoke aloud for the first time in months, his voice cracking on the words, "Met a kid today.
See this? It's the spark
Reminded me of you.
Wow, can I help? Go
Too
for it,
smart
sweetie.
for her
plug.
own
Okay, let's
good."
tighten this.
No response came. No ghost materialized to offer absolution or condemnation. Just silence and the weight of memory and the ache of loss that never fully healed, only scarred over enough to let him keep breathing. Marcus slept poorly that night, his dreams full of engine noise and a child's laughter and the metallic shriek of tearing steel. He woke at 4 a.m. with his heart racing, Ethan's name on his lips, the phantom smell of hospital antiseptic burning in his nostrils. He gave up on sleep, made coffee that was too strong and too bitter, watched the sunrise over the quiet suburb while his mind
See this?
replayed
It's the
the
spark
previous
plug.
evening's
Wow,
conversation.
can I help? Go for it,
Emily's
sweetie.
story
Okay,
had
let's
holes
tighten
in
this.
it, gaps she hadn't filled in, details she was protecting or hiding. The medical bills were worse than she had admitted. Marcus had heard it in the careful way she discussed the amount, the way her voice went flat when she mentioned the 6-week deadline. $80,000. More money than Emily probably made in 3 years. More money than Marcus had in savings even after a decade of living alone and spending nothing on himself. But not more money than could be raised, if someone was willing to ask for help. Marcus had spent 5 years refusing help, rejecting offers from well-meaning friends and customers who wanted to cook him meals or invite him to dinner or
See
set him
this?
up with
It's the
their
spark
single
plug.
sisters.
Wow, can I
He had
help?
built a
Go for it,
fortress around
sweetie.
himself,
Okay, let's tighten
maintained
this.
it with the discipline of someone who understood that letting people in meant letting pain in, too. But Mia's face kept appearing in his mind, superimposed over memories of Ethan. The way she held that ratty stuffed rabbit, the duct tape on her shoes, the old soul wisdom in her eyes that spoke of too many nights going to bed hungry, too many mornings waking up to uncertainty. He pulled up his bank account on his phone, scrolling through the numbers with a mixture of dread and determination. $45,000 sat in savings, money he had been accumulating without purpose or plan, money that Sarah had demanded half of in the divorce, that he had fought to keep simply because fighting gave him something to focus on besides
okay, let's
grief.
tighten this.
$45,000 would barely make a dent in Mia's medical bills, but it would be a start. And Marcus knew people, knew the veteran community that looked out for their own, knew the network of mechanics and contractors and small business owners who understood what it meant to help a neighbor in need. He made the decision before his rational mind could talk him out of it. Before dawn had fully broken, he sent emails to his supplier contacts, posted messages in the veteran forums he rarely visited, reached out to the Chamber of Commerce and the Rotary Club and every community organization he had been avoiding for half a decade. The responses started coming in before he opened the garage for business. Offers of donations, suggestions for fundraisers,
See this? It's
volunteers
the
willing to help
Wow,
organize
can I
events.
help? Go for it,
The
sweetie.
veteran network
Okay, let's
moved
tighten
with the
this.
efficiency of a military operation, coordinating efforts through group chats and shared spreadsheets that appeared in Marcus's inbox with startling speed. By noon, they had a plan. A fundraising barbecue at the garage scheduled for the following Sunday. Marcus would provide the space in the grills. Others would bring food, drinks, entertainment. They would invite everyone in the community who had ever benefited from Marcus's work, every customer who had received a fair deal or a helping hand when they couldn't afford full price. Marcus called Emily that afternoon, his voice gruff with embarrassment. "I'm organizing something, a fundraiser, for Mia's surgery." Silence greeted him.
See
So
this? It's
complete,
the spark
he
plug.
thought she had hung
Wow,
up.
can I help? Go for
Then
it,
he heard
sweetie.
the catch in
Okay,
her
let's
breathing,
tighten this.
the sound of someone trying desperately not to break down on the phone with a near stranger. Her voice came out small and broken. "You barely know us." Marcus stared at the photograph on his desk, Ethan's smile frozen in perpetuity. "I know enough." 2 weeks crawled by in a blur of preparation and work. Marcus spent his evenings coordinating with volunteers, his days maintaining the garage schedule that paid his bills. Emily texted him updates. Derek had been arrested for violating the restraining order, but made bail within hours. The landlord wanted to raise rent. Mia's doctor had moved up the surgery deadline to 4
See
weeks
this? It's the
based
spark
on her
plug.
latest tests.
Wow, can I help? Go
Each
for it,
message
sweetie.
tightened the knot
Okay,
in
let's tighten
Marcus's
this.
chest, the sense that time was running out faster than they could catch up. He worked longer hours, took on extra jobs, donated every spare dollar to the growing fundraiser account. The Sunday of the barbecue dawned clear and hot, typical Texas weather that promised to drive people indoors by mid-afternoon. Marcus opened the garage at 8 a.m. to find volunteers already arriving with tables and chairs, coolers full of ice, industrial-sized grills borrowed from the VFW hall. By 10 a.m., the lot was full. Customers Marcus hadn't seen in years showed up with checks and cash, stories about the time he had stayed late to fix their car before a job interview, the time he had waived his fee when they were between
See
paychecks.
this? It's the spark plug.
The
Wow,
veterans
can I
arrived
help?
in
Go
force.
for it, sweetie.
Men and
Okay,
women
let's
who
tighten this.
understood the value of helping those who couldn't help themselves. Emily and Mia came at 11, both of them overwhelmed by the crowd that had gathered. Marcus watched from a distance as Emily was swept up in conversation, as Mia discovered the bounce house some parent had rented and joined the other children with the cautious joy of a kid who wasn't used to such luxuries. By 3 p.m., they had raised $18,000. Checks and cash piled up on Marcus's desk, each contribution representing someone who had decided that helping a stranger's child was worth more than whatever else they might have done with that money. Marcus found Emily standing near the edge of the crowd, tears
See this?
streaming
It's the
down
spark
her
plug.
face
Wow,
as she
can I
watched
help?
Mia
Go
laugh
for
with
it,
other
sweetie.
children.
Okay, let's tighten this.
He stood beside her, maintaining a careful distance, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. Emily's voice was thick with emotion when she spoke. "I don't know how to thank you for this." Marcus shook his head. "Don't thank me. Thank them." He gestured to the crowd, to the community that had shown up without question or judgment, united by the simple human impulse to help when help was needed. Emily wiped at her tears with the back of her hand, mascara streaking across her skin. She turned to face him, her expression raw and open.
See this? It's the spark plug.
"Why did you do
Wow,
this?"
can I help? Go for it,
Really?
sweetie.
Okay, let's tighten
Marcus
this.
considered lying, deflecting, maintaining the distance that kept him safe. Instead, he told the truth. 5 years ago, I was driving my son home from school. Drunk driver ran a red light, T-boned us on the passenger side. He saw understanding dawn in Emily's eyes, watched her gaze shift to the photograph visible through his office window. She didn't speak, giving him space to continue. Marcus's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. Ethan died instantly. I had scratches. The drunk driver walked
See
away
this?
with a
It's the spark
broken
plug.
wrist.
Wow, can I help?
The
Go for
words
it,
hung in the
sweetie.
air between
Okay,
them,
let's tighten this.
heavy with the weight of survivor's guilt and unprocessed grief. Marcus forced himself to keep talking, to finish the story he had started. My wife couldn't forgive me. Said I should have taken a different route. Should have seen the truck coming. Should have protected our son. Emily's hand moved toward him, stopped just short of touching his arm. It wasn't your fault. Marcus laughed, a sound completely devoid of humor. Everyone says that. Doesn't make it feel true. He looked at Mia, still playing in the bounce house, her face flushed with exertion and happiness. The resemblance to Ethan was
See
superficial
this? It's
at
the spark
best.
plug.
Different hair
Wow,
color,
can I help?
different
Go
build,
for it,
different
sweetie.
features.
Okay, let's tighten this.
But something about her spirit, her resilience, her refusal to let circumstances crush her joy, reminded him powerfully of his son. His voice steadied as he spoke. I did CPR on Ethan for 10 minutes while we waited for the ambulance. 10 minutes of trying to restart a heart that had already stopped. I couldn't save him. Emily was crying again, silent tears that she didn't bother to wipe away. Marcus continued, the words coming easier now that he had started. So when I saw Mia with that stuffed rabbit and those taped-up shoes, when I heard about her heart condition and the medical bills you couldn't pay, I thought maybe this time I could make a difference.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Maybe I couldn't
Wow,
save
can
my
I help?
son,
Go for it, sweetie.
but I could help
Okay,
save
let's
someone
tighten
else's
this.
kid. Emily finally closed the distance between them, wrapping her arms around Marcus in a hug he didn't return but didn't reject. He stood rigid in her embrace, uncomfortable with the contact, but unwilling to pull away and hurt her feelings. When she finally released him, her voice was gentle. Ethan would be proud of you. Marcus didn't respond to that, couldn't respond without breaking down completely. Instead, he cleared his throat and changed the subject. 18,000 is a good start. We'll keep working on the rest. The barbecue wound down as the afternoon heat became oppressive. Volunteers cleaned up, broke down tables, returned borrowed equipment.
See
By
this?
7
It's the spark
p.m.,
plug.
only
Wow,
Marcus and
can I
Emily
help?
remained,
Go for it, sweetie.
sitting on folding
Okay, let's
chairs
tighten this.
outside the garage while Mia dozed on a bench inside, exhausted from hours of playing. Emily counted the cash one more time, still disbelieving the total. We're still 62,000 short. Marcus had been doing the same math, running through scenarios and possibilities. I have 45,000 in savings. I'll cover that. Emily's head snapped up, her eyes wide with shock. You can't do that. That's your retirement, your emergency fund, your... Marcus cut her off with a gesture. It's money sitting in a bank doing nothing. Mia needs it more than I do. Emily shook her head violently. No, absolutely not. You've
See this?
already
It's the
done
spark
too
plug.
much.
Wow, can I help?
They argued
Go for it,
20
sweetie.
minutes,
Okay, let's tighten
voices
this.
rising and falling as the sky darkened and crickets began their evening chorus. Emily insisted she would find another way, take out loans, work more hours. Marcus remained immovable, his stubborn streak showing itself in full force. Finally, Emily changed tactics, her voice dropping to something softer, more vulnerable. What if I can't pay you back? Marcus met her eyes directly. I'm not asking you to pay me back. I'm asking you to let me help. The distinction seemed to matter to her, seemed to shift something in the way she held herself. She sank back in her chair, defeated by kindness she hadn't expected.
See this? It's
and
the
didn't
spark
know
plug.
how to refuse.
Wow, can I help? Go
When she
for
spoke
it, sweetie.
again, her
Okay,
voice
let's
was
tighten
small.
this.
My mother is Alexandra Hartwell. She owns Hartwell Properties. The name meant nothing to Marcus initially, but Emily's tone suggested it should. She continued, the words coming in a rush like confession. She's worth over $200 million. Has been for decades. But we haven't spoken in 8 years. Marcus waited, understanding that there was more to this story. Emily stared at her hands, the worn skin and broken nails of someone who worked manual labor for poverty wages. I got pregnant with Mia when I was 18. Derek was my boyfriend.
See this? It's
Kind
the
of.
spark plug.
Wow,
My mother
can I help?
demanded I
Go
get an
for it,
abortion.
sweetie.
Okay, let's tighten
She
this.
looked up, her eyes fierce despite the tears. I refused. She said if I kept the baby, I was no longer her daughter. So I left. Haven't seen or talked to her since. Marcus absorbed this information, adding it to the growing picture of Emily's life. A daughter of wealth living in poverty, too proud to ask for help from the mother who had disowned her. A woman working 2 jobs to support a child with a life-threatening condition, refusing to compromise her principles even when the cost was everything. His respect for her grew, alongside his understanding of how desperately she needed help she would never ask for.
See this? It's the spark
Marcus's
plug.
voice was
Wow,
gentle
can
when
I
he
help?
spoke.
Go for it, sweetie.
Have you
Okay, let's
considered
tighten
calling
this.
her? For Mia? Emily's laugh was bitter. You don't know my mother. She'd pay for the surgery, and then she'd sue for custody. Tell the court I'm an unfit mother. Take Mia away. Marcus considered this, his mind working through legal scenarios and power dynamics. Alexandra Hartwell, if she was as wealthy and connected as Emily suggested, would have access to the best lawyers money could buy. Against that kind of firepower, Emily's meager resources and good intentions wouldn't stand a chance. Unless she had someone in her corner. Someone willing to stand up and testify that she was a good mother. That Mia was
See
loved
this?
and
It's the spark
cared
plug.
for despite
Wow,
the
can I
financial
help?
struggles.
Go for it, sweetie.
Someone
Okay,
with
let's tighten
credibility
this.
and no obvious agenda. The thought formed before Marcus could stop it. If it comes to that, I'll testify. Tell the court what I've seen. A mother who works herself to exhaustion to provide for her child. A kid who's happy and healthy despite circumstances. Emily stared at him like he had sprouted a second head. You'd do that? For us? Marcus shrugged, uncomfortable with the gratitude in her voice. Kids need their mothers. Judges should know that. The moment stretched between them, charged with something Marcus didn't want to examine too closely. Emily
See
looked
this?
at him
It's the
with an
spark plug.
expression that made
Wow,
his
can
chest
I help?
tight,
Go for it,
made him
sweetie.
think
Okay,
about
let's tighten this.
possibilities he had buried along with his son. Then the moment shattered as thunder rumbled in the distance, the first warning of the storm system that had been building all afternoon. Marcus stood, looking at the sky. You should get Mia home before the rain hits. Emily gathered her sleeping daughter, carrying her to the Honda that now ran smooth and reliable. Marcus watched them drive away, the taillights disappearing into the gathering darkness. He stood in the empty parking lot as the first drops of rain began to fall, feeling the temperature drop as the storm rolled in. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the garage in stark white flashes. Thunder followed, a deep rumble that Marcus felt
See
in his
this?
bones.
It's the spark plug.
He
Wow,
should go
can I help?
inside.
Go for it,
lock up,
sweetie.
head
Okay, let's
home.
tighten this.
Instead, he pulled out his phone and looked at the napkin he had photographed weeks ago. Emily's number saved under the mechanic client. He changed the contact name to simply Emily. The rain intensified, soaking through his shirt, plastering his hair to his skull. Marcus stood in the downpour, letting the water wash over him, feeling something he had thought long dead stirring back to life. Not happiness exactly, not peace, but something close to purpose. The first glimmer of meaning in a life that had felt hollow for too long. When he finally went inside, locking the garage against the storm, he felt
See
different,
this? It's the spark plug.
changed.
Wow, can I help?
Like he
Go
had
for it,
crossed a
sweetie.
threshold
Okay,
he
let's
couldn't
tighten this.
uncross. Made a choice that would alter the trajectory of his carefully controlled life. He dried off with shop towels, changed into the spare shirt he kept in his office. The photograph of Ethan watched him from the desk, that gap-toothed smile offering neither judgment nor approval, just presence, just memory. Marcus picked up the frame, studying his son's face in the harsh fluorescent light. For the first time in 5 years, looking at the photograph didn't feel like drowning. The pain was still there, sharp and immediate, but underneath it, something else was growing. Not replacement, not moving on.
See this? It's the
but
spark
perhaps
plug.
the beginning
Wow,
of moving
can I help?
forward.
Go for it, sweetie.
He set the
Okay,
frame
let's
back
tighten
down,
this.
time facing out instead of lying flat. A small change. A significant one. The drive home took him through streets turned to rivers, water rushing along gutters and pooling at intersections. The radio warned of flash flooding, advised people to stay off the roads. Marcus drove carefully, mindful of the lessons he had learned too late 5 years ago about the fragility of life and the importance of caution. His phone rang as he pulled into his driveway. Emily's number flashed on the screen. Marcus answered, expecting to hear about a breakdown or emergency. Everything okay? Emily's voice came through choppy, broken by static from the storm.
See this? It's the
We're
spark
fine.
plug.
Wow, can I help? Go
I
for
wanted
it,
to say
sweetie.
thank you.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Again. I know I keep saying it, but I don't know what else to say. Marcus killed the engine, sitting in his truck while rain hammered the roof. You don't have to keep thanking me. A pause, filled with the sound of rain and distance. Then Emily spoke again, her voice soft. Mia asked me something on the drive home. She wanted to know if you were going to be her new dad. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. He gripped the phone tighter, his knuckles going white. What did you tell her? Emily's laugh was gentle, understanding.
See
I told
this?
her
It's
you
the
were a
spark plug.
friend helping us.
Wow, can I help? Go for
But
it,
I also
sweetie.
told her
Okay,
that
let's tighten
sometimes
this.
the best people in our lives aren't related to us. Sometimes they're just people who choose to care. The words settled over Marcus like a blanket, warm and heavy and unexpectedly comforting. He sat in the truck for long minutes after the call ended, listening to the rain, thinking about choices and consequences and the strange ways life could surprise you when you least expected it. When he finally went inside, he walked past Ethan's door without stopping. The nightly ritual could wait. Tonight, he had other things
See
to
this?
think
It's
about.
the spark plug.
Other futures
Wow,
to
can I help?
contemplate
Go for it,
beyond the
sweetie.
endless
Okay, let's
repetition of
tighten
grief
this.
and memory. He made dinner, actual dinner, not just food from a box, and sat at the table to eat it instead of standing at the counter. Small changes, significant ones. The first tentative steps toward a life that might include more than just work and sleep and the maintenance of protective walls. The storm raged outside, shaking the windows, testing the foundations. Marcus ate slowly, tasting his food for the first time in recent memory, letting himself feel the fullness that came from more than just calories. Somewhere across the city,
See this?
Emily
It's
and
the
Mia
spark
were
plug.
probably doing the
Wow,
same.
can I help? Go
Maybe
for it,
talking
sweetie.
about the
Okay,
day,
let's tighten this.
about the people who had shown up to help, about the mechanic who had fixed more than just their car. Marcus cleaned his dishes, turned off the lights, headed to bed with a tiredness that felt earned rather than imposed. He lay in the darkness listening to thunder roll across the sky, thinking about tomorrow and next week and the fundraising efforts that would continue, the medical appointments that would need attending, the court battles that might be coming. For the first time in 5 years, the future felt like something more than just a calendar to be endured. It felt like possibility. The glass tower rose 40 stories above downtown Houston, its reflective surface catching the morning sun and throwing it back in
See
blinding
this?
sheets.
It's the spark plug.
Wow,
Marcus
can
had
I
never
help?
been comfortable
Go for
in
it,
buildings
sweetie.
like this.
Okay, let's tighten
Places
this.
where the air tasted recycled, and everyone wore suits that cost more than his monthly mortgage. He stood in the lobby, acutely aware of his work boots on marble floors that probably cost $100 per square foot. The security guard at the desk barely glanced at him. Name and business? Marcus's voice came out flat. Marcus Reed, meeting with Alexandra Hartwell. The guard's eyebrows rose slightly, the first crack in his professional mask. He typed something into his computer, made a phone call, then issued a visitor badge with the kind of practiced efficiency that suggested he had done this 10,000 times before. 38th floor. Elevators are to your left.
See this? It's the
The
spark
ride
plug.
up took less
Wow,
than a
can I
minute,
help?
but
Go
felt
for it,
longer.
sweetie.
Okay, let's tighten
Marcus
this.
watched the numbers climb, each floor representing a level of wealth and power he had never aspired to, never wanted. The doors opened onto a reception area that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. Clean lines, expensive art, furniture that prioritized aesthetics over comfort. A woman in her late 20s sat behind a curved desk, her smile professional and empty. Mr. Reed? Mrs. Hartwell will see you now. She led him through hallways lined with photographs of completed projects, commercial developments, luxury condominiums, the kind of real estate that reshaped entire neighborhoods. Marcus noticed the absence of anything personal, any hint that
See
human
this?
beings
It's the spark
worked in
plug.
these spaces
Wow,
beyond
can I
the
help?
pursuit of
Go
profit.
for it, sweetie.
Okay, let's
Alexandra
tighten this.
Hartwell's office occupied the corner of the building, windows on two sides offering views of Houston's sprawl. The woman behind the desk looked up as Marcus entered, and he saw immediately where Emily had gotten her eyes. That particular shade of blue that could be warm or cold, depending on the light and the emotion behind them. Right now, they were ice. Alexandra stood, extending a hand across the desk. Mr. Reed, thank you for coming. Her grip was firm, professional, the handshake of someone who had spent decades in boardrooms negotiating deals worth millions. She wore a suit that Marcus's untrained eye recognized as expensive.
See
Her
this?
hair
It's the
pulled
spark
back in a
plug.
style
Wow,
that
can I
suggested
help?
she had better
Go
things
for
to
it,
do
sweetie.
than worry about
Okay, let's tighten
appearance,
this.
but still managed to look impeccable. Marcus took the offered seat, a leather chair that probably cost more than his truck. He waited, having learned long ago that silence could be a weapon, that the person who spoke first often revealed more than they intended. Alexandra sat back, steepling her fingers in a gesture that radiated control. I assume you're wondering why I asked you here. Marcus met her gaze without flinching. I'm wondering why Emily's mother is calling me instead of talking to her own daughter. A muscle twitched in Alexandra's jaw, the only sign that the barb had landed. She opened a folder on her desk, turning it so Marcus could see the contents.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Photographs spilled
Wow,
across
can
the
I help?
polished
Go
surface.
for it, sweetie.
Emily
Okay,
and
let's
Mia
tighten
at
this.
the grocery store. Emily at work. Marcus's garage. The fundraising barbecue. Even shots of Marcus's house, his truck parked in the driveway. Marcus's hands clenched on the armrests, but his voice remained steady. You've been following her. Alexandra's expression didn't change. I've been protecting my investment. Emily is my daughter, whether she acknowledges that or not. Mia is my granddaughter. I have a right to know how they're living. She pulled out another photograph, this one showing Marcus and Emily sitting outside the garage after the fundraiser, deep in conversation. The angle suggested a telephoto lens, someone shooting from across the street or from a parked car.
See this? It's the spark
I also
plug.
have a right to know
Wow,
who my
can I
daughter is
help?
involving
Go for it,
herself
sweetie.
Okay, let's tighten
with.
this.
Marcus leaned forward, his patience evaporating. If you cared about Emily, you'd talk to her directly, instead of playing spy games. Alexandra's laugh was sharp, humorless. I tried talking to her 8 years ago. She chose a teenage mistake and a deadbeat father over her family, her future, everything I had built for her. The anger in her voice was real. Decades of resentment compressed into a few sentences. Marcus recognized it because he had carried similar anger after Sarah left. That toxic mixture of betrayal and hurt that calcified into something harder, more permanent. His voice softened slightly. She chose her child.
See this? It's the spark
That's not
plug.
a mistake.
Wow, can I help? Go
Alexandra
for it,
closed
sweetie.
the folder
Okay,
with a
let's
snap.
tighten this.
A child she can't afford to raise. A child with a medical condition that requires $80,000 in surgery that Emily has no way to pay for. She pulled out another document, this one a bank statement with Marcus's name at the top. He felt his stomach drop, rage flooding through him at the invasion of privacy. How did you? Alexandra cut him off. I have resources, Mr. Reed. I know about your $45,000 in savings. I know about the fundraiser that raised $18,000. I know you're still $37,000 short, with less than 4 weeks until Mia's surgery. She leaned back, satisfaction crossing her face
See this?
at
It's the
having
spark plug.
demonstrated her reach.
Wow, can I help?
Her
Go for
Marcus
it, sweetie.
forced himself
Okay,
to
let's
breathe
tighten this.
slowly, to control the impulse to walk out or say something he would regret. Alexandra's voice dropped to something almost gentle. I'm not the villain in this story, Mr. Reed. I'm a grandmother who wants to save her granddaughter's life. She pulled a check from her desk drawer, already filled out, the amount clear even from across the desk. $80,000 made out to Texas Children's Hospital. She set it in the middle of the desk between them like a challenge. I'll pay for the entire surgery. Cover every expense. Make sure Mia gets the best cardiac surgeon in the state. Marcus stared at the check.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Dawning.
Wow, can I help?
What
Go
do you
for
want
it,
in
sweetie.
return?
Okay, let's tighten this.
Alexandra's smile was thin, predatory. Custody. Legal guardianship of Mia. Emily can still see her, of course. Supervised visits, holidays. But Mia will live with me. Attend the best schools. Have opportunities Emily could never provide. The proposal hung in the air like poison gas. Marcus thought about Emily's face when she talked about her mother, the pain that lived behind her eyes when she mentioned the 8 years of silence. He thought about Mia asking if he was going to be her new dad, the simple hope in that question. His voice came out harder than he intended. You want to buy
See this?
your
It's the
granddaughter.
spark plug.
Wow, can I help?
Alexandra's
Go for it,
expression
sweetie.
didn't
Okay,
change.
let's tighten this.
I want to save her. Emily's pride is going to kill that child. She's living in a 1-bedroom apartment in a dangerous neighborhood, working 2 jobs that barely cover rent, refusing help because she's too stubborn to admit she needs it. She stood, walking to the window, her back to Marcus. I made mistakes with Emily. I was too harsh, too demanding. I pushed when I should have listened. The admission seemed to cost her something, vulnerability creeping into her voice. But I won't make those mistakes with Mia. I can give her everything: education, healthcare, security. Things Emily can't
See
provide,
this? It's
no
the
matter
spark
how
plug.
hard she
Wow,
works.
can I help?
Go for it,
Marcus
sweetie.
joined her at the
Okay,
window,
let's tighten this.
looking out at the city spread below them like a game board. Money isn't everything. Alexandra turned to face him, her eyes searching his. Says the man who's giving his life savings to pay for a stranger's medical bills. The observation was pointed, accurate. Marcus had no good counter-argument. He thought about his empty house, his lonely evenings, the years he had spent accumulating money with no purpose beyond having it. Alexandra pressed her advantage. I know about your son, Mr. Reed, about the accident, about your wife leaving. Marcus stiffened, his hands curling into fists. Alexandra continued, her
See
voice
this? It's the
almost
spark plug.
compassionate.
Wow, can I help?
I know
Go
you
for
see
it, sweetie.
Ethan when you
Okay,
look at
let's
Mia.
tighten this.
I know you're trying to save her because you couldn't save him. The words hit like physical blows. Marcus turned away, unable to look at her while she dissected his motivations with surgical precision. But you can't replace your son with someone else's daughter. You can't fix what happened by attaching yourself to Emily and Mia. Her hand landed on his shoulder, the touch surprisingly gentle. They're broken, Mr. Reed. Both of them. And you're trying to fix them because that's what you do. But some things can't be fixed with good intentions and donated money. Marcus shrugged off her hand, walking back to the desk.
See this?
He picked
It's
up
the
the
spark
check,
plug.
studied the
Wow,
amount,
can I help?
the
Go for
perfect
it, sweetie.
penmanship of
Okay, let's tighten
Alexandra's
this.
signature. $80,000. Mia's life, purchased and paid for. He tore the check in half. Alexandra's gasp was audible, shock breaking through her controlled facade. Marcus tore the pieces again, letting them flutter to her expensive carpet like confetti. Mia doesn't need your money. She needs her mother. Alexandra's expression hardened, the momentary vulnerability replaced by cold calculation. You're making a mistake. Marcus headed for the door. Probably, but it's my mistake to make. Alexandra's voice stopped
See
him
this?
at the
It's the
threshold.
spark plug.
Wow,
I'll file
can
for
I help?
custody anyway,
Go for it, sweetie.
with or
Okay,
without your
let's tighten this.
cooperation. And I'll win, Mr. Reed. I have the best lawyers in Texas. I have resources Emily can't match. I have evidence of neglect, poverty, unsafe living conditions. Marcus turned back, his voice quiet but carrying the weight of absolute conviction. Then you'll have to get through me first. He left before she could respond, the elevator ride down feeling faster than the ascent. He hit the lobby at a near run, desperate to escape the building and its oppressive atmosphere of money and manipulation. His truck sat in the parking garage, surrounded by BMWs and Mercedes, looking out of place and somehow proud of it. Marcus climbed in,
See this?
gripped the
It's the
steering
spark
wheel
plug.
until his knuckles
Wow,
went
can I
white
help?
Go for it,
and forced
sweetie.
himself
Okay,
to
let's
breathe.
tighten this.
The meeting had been a trap, he realized now. Alexandra had summoned him to demonstrate her power, to show him exactly how outmatched Emily was in any legal battle. The private investigator, the bank records, the surveillance photos, all of it designed to prove that Alexandra Hartwell got what she wanted when she wanted it, and no one could stand in her way. Marcus pulled out his phone, dialed Emily's number. She answered on the second ring, her voice bright. Hey, how did it go at the supplier meeting? He had lied about where he was going,
See this?
not
It's the spark
wanting to
plug.
worry her.
Wow, can I help?
Now
Go
guilt
for it,
added
sweetie.
to the mix
Okay,
of
let's tighten
emotions
this.
churning in his gut. Can we meet? I need to talk to you about something. The brightness faded from her voice, replaced by wariness. What happened? Marcus started the truck, pulling out of the garage. Not over the phone. Are you at work? Emily gave him the address of the diner where she waited tables during the day shift. Marcus drove through midday traffic, his mind racing through scenarios and consequences. Alexandra would file for custody, she had made that clear. And she would probably win unless Emily had something to counter with, some advantage Alexandra hadn't accounted for. The diner occupied a strip mall slot between a nail salon and a dollar store.
Wow, can I help?
Its
Go
neon
for it,
sign
sweetie.
proclaiming
Okay, let's tighten
Betty's
this.
in letters that had seen better decades. Marcus found Emily wiping down tables during the lunch lull, her uniform stained with what looked like gravy and ketchup. She saw his face and immediately untied her apron. "Bobby, I'm taking my break." The cook behind the counter waved acknowledgement. Emily led Marcus to a booth in the back, sliding in across from him with her arms crossed defensively. "You met with her, didn't you?" "My mother." Marcus didn't bother asking how she knew. "She called me yesterday, said she wanted to discuss helping with Mia's medical expenses." Emily's laugh was bitter. "And let me guess, she wants custody in exchange for paying for the surgery." Marcus nodded,
See
watching
this? It's the
emotions
spark
play
plug.
across Emily's
Wow,
face.
can I help?
Go
Anger,
for it, sweetie.
Fear,
Okay, let's tighten
resignation.
this.
She wasn't surprised, he realized. She had been expecting this, waiting for the other shoe to drop since the moment she had called her mother for help. Emily's voice shook when she spoke. "She's going to win, isn't she? She has unlimited money and lawyers, and I have... what? Good intentions? And a mechanic who feels sorry for us?" Marcus reached across the table, covering her hand with his. "She has money. You have Mia's love. That counts for something." Emily pulled her hand back, standing abruptly. "Love doesn't win custody battles, money does. Power does." She
See
paced
this?
the narrow
It's the
space
spark plug.
between booths,
Wow, can
her
I help?
agitation
Go
visible
for it,
in
sweetie.
every sharp
Okay, let's
movement.
tighten this.
I knew this would happen. I knew the second I called her, the second I showed any weakness, she would swoop in and try to take control. Marcus let her pace, let her work through the anger and fear without trying to fix it or minimize it. When she finally stopped, leaning against the wall with her eyes closed, he spoke quietly. "There might be a way." Emily opened her eyes. "What way?" Marcus pulled out his phone, showed her the contact he had saved earlier. "Diane Foster, family law attorney. She's good, and she owes me a favor from back when I helped her brother avoid a lemon car purchase." Emily looked at the name,
See
hope
this?
and
It's the spark
skepticism
plug.
warring on
Wow,
her face.
can I help?
Go for it,
"I can't
sweetie.
afford a
Okay,
lawyer,
let's tighten this.
especially not one good enough to go up against whoever my mother hires." Marcus pocketed his phone. "I'll cover it. Consider it part of the fundraising effort." Emily shook her head violently. "No, absolutely not. You're already giving your life savings from Mia's surgery. I can't take more from you." They argued in tense whispers, neither wanting to draw attention from the handful of customers scattered throughout the diner. Emily insisted she would represent herself or find legal aid. Marcus countered that pro bono lawyers were overworked and underprepared, no match for the machine Alexandra would bring to bear. Finally, Marcus played his trump card. "What if I
See
moved
this?
in with
It's
you?"
the spark plug.
Wow,
Emily
can I
stopped
help?
mid-sentence,
Go for it,
her
sweetie.
mouth
Okay,
hanging
let's
open.
tighten this.
"What?" Marcus's mind raced, the idea forming even as he spoke it. "Not romantically, but legally, if we're cohabitating, if I can testify that I've observed you parenting Mia in a stable home environment, it strengthens your case." Emily's expression cycled through confusion, hope, and suspicion in rapid succession. "You want to move in? With me and Mia? In my one-bedroom apartment?" Marcus heard the absurdity even as he doubled down on it. "You need stability. CPS needs to see improvement in living conditions. I have a 3-bedroom house sitting empty."
See this? It's the spark
The
plug.
implication hung
Wow, can I
unspoken.
help?
Go for it, sweetie.
Emily's eyes
Okay, let's
widened.
tighten this.
You want us to move in with you? Marcus nodded, the plan solidifying in his mind. You and Mia take 2 bedrooms. I keep the 3rd. We split utilities and groceries. On paper, you're renting from me. Completely legitimate. Gives you better living conditions, satisfies CPS requirements. Emily sank back into the booth, her hands trembling. That's insane. Marcus sat across from her. Probably. But it's also strategic. Alexandra can't argue you're providing inadequate housing if you're living in a safe neighborhood with plenty of space. Emily stared at him like he had suggested they rob a bank. We barely know each other. You're offering to let strangers live in your house?
See this? It's the spark plug.
Marcus thought about
Can I
Ethan's
help?
room.
Go for it,
Untouched
sweetie.
for 5
Okay,
years.
let's tighten this.
Waiting for a purpose that would never come. He thought about the empty bedrooms and silent hallways, the house that had become a mausoleum to grief. Maybe I need this as much as you do. The honesty of the statement surprised them both. Emily's defenses cracked, vulnerability showing through. What if it doesn't work? What if Mia gets attached and then things fall apart? Marcus had no good answer for that. He could only offer the truth. Then we'll deal with it. But right now, we deal with your mother and her custody suit. Everything else is secondary. Emily pulled out her phone, scrolled through something Marcus couldn't see. When she looked up, her eyes were wet, but her voice
See
was
this?
steady.
It's the spark plug.
Wow,
I got a
can
notice
I help?
yesterday.
Go for it, sweetie.
CPS
Okay,
is
let's
coming
tighten
back
this.
in 2 weeks for a follow-up inspection. The caseworker said if conditions haven't improved, they'll recommend temporary foster placement pending a full hearing. The revelation hit Marcus like cold water. 2 weeks. Not months or even weeks of breathing room, but 14 days to completely restructure Emily's living situation or risk losing Mia to the system. His voice came out harder than intended. Then we don't have time to debate. Start packing tonight. I'll clear out the spare bedrooms this weekend. Emily wiped at her eyes, smearing mascara across her cheekbones. This is crazy. Marcus stood, pulling out his wallet to leave money for
See this?
coffee
It's
they
the spark
hadn't
plug.
ordered.
Wow, can I help?
Crazy
Go for
is
it,
letting your
sweetie.
mother win
Okay, let's tighten
because
this.
you're too proud to accept help. The words were harsher than he meant them, but they had the desired effect. Emily straightened, her jaw setting in a line Marcus was beginning to recognize as her stubborn streak manifesting. Fine, but we do this right. Rental agreement, everything documented, completely legal. Marcus nodded. I'll have Diane draw up the paperwork. You can move in this weekend. He left before the reality of what he had just committed to could sink in fully. The drive back to his garage felt surreal, like he was watching himself make decisions from outside his body. 3 days ago, he had been living alone, speaking
See
to
this?
almost
It's the spark
no
plug.
one,
Wow,
existing
can
in
I
the
help?
carefully
Go for
controlled
it,
routine
sweetie.
that
Okay,
had
let's
kept him
tighten
functional
this.
for 5 years. Now he was about to have a woman and child living in his house, disrupting every aspect of that routine, forcing him to engage with the world in ways he had been avoiding. The garage was busy when he returned, 2 customers waiting with car problems that required his immediate attention. Marcus threw himself into the work, grateful for the distraction, for problems that could be diagnosed and fixed with the right tools and knowledge. But his mind kept drifting to Ethan's room, to the door he hadn't opened in years, to the decision he would have to make about whether to let Mia use that space or keep it locked away like a shrine to what was lost. By closing time, he had made up his mind.
See this? It's
Eaton's
the spark
room
plug.
would remain closed.
Wow, can I help?
Mia
Go
could
for it,
have the guest
sweetie.
room.
Okay, let's
Emily,
tighten
the
this.
office he barely used. The boundaries would be maintained, the shrine preserved, his grief protected behind a door that would stay shut. He drove home, rehearsing the conversation he would have with himself while boxing up office supplies and clearing space in closets. The house greeted him with its usual silence, but tonight it felt different, temporary, about to be shattered by the presence of other people, other lives, other needs beyond his own. Marcus stood in the hallway between the 3 bedrooms. The guest room to his left, furnished with a bed and dresser he had bought years ago when Sarah's mother used to visit. The office to his right, containing a desk buried under old tax
See
returns
this? It's the
and
spark
maintenance
plug.
manuals.
Wow, can I help?
And straight
Go
ahead,
for it, sweetie.
Ethan's
Okay,
door,
let's tighten this.
closed as always. He turned to the guest room first, stripping sheets that smelled of dust and disuse, opening windows to air out the stale atmosphere. The closet held boxes of Sarah's belongings he had never bothered to throw away. Clothes she hadn't wanted enough to take, books she had left behind, photo albums documenting their courtship and early marriage. Marcus hauled the boxes to the garage, stacking them near the trash bins with a ruthlessness that surprised him. 5 years of holding on to the past, treating every object as sacred, and now he was clearing it all out with the efficiency of someone late for an appointment. The office took longer. He sorted through papers,
See this? It's the
tossing
spark plug.
outdated insurance
Wow, can I
documents
help?
and
Go
warranty
for it,
information
sweetie.
for
Okay,
appliances
let's
they no
tighten this.
longer owned. The desk went into storage, replaced by the spare bed from his mother's house that had been gathering dust in the garage attic. By midnight, both rooms were ready. Clean sheets, empty closets, space for Emily and Mia to exist without tripping over Marcus's carefully preserved grief at every turn. He stood in the hallway again, this time letting his gaze linger on Ethan's door. His hand reached for the knob, stopped, fell back to his side. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. Some boundaries had to remain intact, or he would lose himself completely in
See
this
this? It's the
dangerous
spark
game
plug.
of playing
Wow,
house
can
with
I help?
strangers.
Go for it, sweetie.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Friday evening, Emily's Honda pulled into his driveway, loaded with garbage bags and cardboard boxes. Marcus helped unload while Mia explored the house with the excited energy of a child who had never had her own bedroom before. Emily moved through the space carefully, touching nothing, her posture screaming discomfort at accepting this level of help. "We'll be out of your way as much as possible. I work most evenings, and Mia's good at keeping herself busy." Marcus carried boxes to the guest room, now designated as Emily's space. "This is your home now. You don't need to hide in your room." Emily followed
this?
with a
It's the
bag of
spark plug.
clothes.
Wow,
For how
can I
long,
help?
though?
Go for
Until
it,
the
sweetie.
CPS
Okay,
inspection?
let's tighten this.
Until the custody hearing? When does this arrangement end? Marcus set down the box, turning to face her directly. When it stops working. Until then, we make it work. The simplicity of the answers seemed to settle something in Emily. She nodded, unpacking with more confidence, claiming space in the closet and dresser with the tentative movements of someone who had learned not to get too comfortable anywhere. Mia appeared in the doorway, her stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm. "Mr. Marcus, can I see the room with all the race cars?" Marcus felt his chest constrict. Emily's hand flew to Mia's shoulder. "Honey, no.
See this?
That's
It's the
Mr.
spark plug.
Marcus's private
Wow,
room.
can I help?
We don't
Go
go in
for
there."
it, sweetie.
Okay, let's
Mia's
tighten
face
this.
fell, but she nodded with the practiced acceptance of a child used to disappointment. "Okay. My room is nice too." She vanished down the hallway. Marcus and Emily stood in awkward silence, the ghost of Ethan hanging between them more real than any living presence. Emily's voice was soft. "I'm sorry. I'll talk to her about boundaries." Marcus shook his head. She didn't know. It's fine. But it wasn't fine, and they both knew it. Marcus excused himself, retreating to his own room and closing the door against the sounds of Emily and Mia settling into their new space. He sat on his bed, head in his hands, wondering what he had gotten himself into.
See this? It's the spark plug.
The weekend
Wow,
passed in a
can I
blur
help?
of adjustment.
Go for it, sweetie.
Mia
Okay,
woke
let's
early,
tighten this.
her excited chatter filtering through walls Marcus had forgotten were so thin. Emily cooked breakfast, the smell of bacon and eggs foreign in a kitchen that usually only produced coffee and toast. They navigated around each other like dancers learning new choreography, polite and careful and hyper-aware of every interaction. Sunday afternoon, CPS caseworker Jennifer Palmer arrived for an unscheduled visit. Marcus answered the door, noting her surprise at seeing him. "Mr. Reed, I didn't realize you'd be here." Emily appeared behind him, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Marcus is my landlord. I'm renting 2 bedrooms." Jennifer's eyebrows rose,
See this? It's the
but she
spark plug.
maintained professional
Wow, can I help?
neutrality.
Go for it, sweetie.
"May I
Okay,
see the
let's
rental
tighten
agreement?"
this.
Diane had delivered the paperwork Friday evening, properly notarized and filed with the county. Emily produced it from a folder she kept ready, the motion practiced like she had been expecting this visit. Jennifer reviewed the document, then conducted a thorough inspection. She noted Mia's bedroom with its fresh paint and new curtains Marcus had hung yesterday. She checked the kitchen, saw the refrigerator stocked with healthy food, the pantry organized and full. She examined the bathroom, the living areas, even poked her head into Marcus's room to verify he actually lived here. When she finished, her expression had shifted from skepticism to cautious approval. "This is a significant improvement,
See this?
Miss
It's the
Hartwell.
spark plug.
Wow,
Mia has
can
her
I
own
help?
space.
Go for it,
You're in a
sweetie.
safe
Okay,
neighborhood.
let's tighten this.
The home is clean and well maintained." Emily's relief was visible, her shoulders dropping from where they had been hunched near her ears. "Does this mean—" Jennifer held up a hand. "It means I'll recommend closing the case. But I'll be frank with you. Someone filed a complaint yesterday alleging this is a fraudulent living arrangement designed to deceive CPS." Marcus's jaw clenched. Alexandra, obviously. Moving faster than he had anticipated, attacking from multiple angles. Jennifer continued, "I'll need to verify this is genuine. Utility bills in your name, mail delivery, evidence you're actually residing here and not just staging for inspections." Emily
See this?
nodded,
It's the spark
her
plug.
voice steady
Wow,
despite the
can I
fear
help?
Marcus
Go
could
for
see
it,
in her
sweetie.
eyes.
Okay, let's tighten this.
"I can provide all of that. This is my home." Jennifer made notes, her pen scratching across her clipboard. "Good. I'll be back in 30 days for a final check. If everything remains consistent, we'll close the case." She left with a reminder to call if circumstances changed. Marcus closed the door and leaned against it, exhaustion crashing over him like a wave. Emily's voice was tight. "My mother, she's already started." Marcus nodded, too tired to pretend surprise. "She moves fast." Emily sank onto the couch, her head in her hands. "What if we can't prove this is real? What if she finds some technicality,
See this?
some way
It's
to
the
make it
spark
look
plug.
like fraud?"
Wow, can I help?
Marcus
Go for
sat
it,
beside
sweetie.
her,
Okay, let's
careful to
tighten
maintain
this.
distance, even as he offered reassurance. "Then we make it real. You live here. You pay rent. You get mail here. We document everything." Mia wandered in from her room, her rabbit trailing from one hand. "Are we in trouble?" Emily pulled her daughter into a hug. "No, baby, we're fine." But over Mia's head, her eyes met Marcus's, and the fear in them was unmistakable. They both understood that Alexandra was just getting started, that the CPS visit was only the opening move in what would be a long, brutal battle. The week that followed established new rhythms.
See this? It's the spark
Emily
plug.
left for work
Wow,
at 6
can I
a.m.,
help?
Go
back
for
by
it,
2
sweetie.
to pick
Okay,
Mia
let's
up
tighten
from
this.
school. She worked her evening shift from 5 to midnight, leaving Marcus to watch Mia for those 7 hours. He helped with homework, made dinner, enforced bedtime with the awkwardness of someone who hadn't done this in 5 years. Mia never complained. She did her schoolwork at the kitchen table while Marcus tinkered with small engine repairs he brought home from the garage. She ate whatever he cooked without comment, even his more disastrous attempts at following recipes. She went to bed when told, her rabbit tucked under her arm, her voice sleepy. "Good night, Mr. Marcus." He found himself looking forward to those evenings in ways he didn't want to examine too closely. The house felt
See
less
this?
empty
It's the
with
spark
another
plug.
presence in it,
Wow, can
even
I
when they
help?
weren't
Go
speaking.
for it, sweetie.
The
Okay,
silence
let's
was
tighten
different
this.
now, companionable rather than oppressive. Thursday evening, while Mia was absorbed in a drawing project, Marcus's phone rang with an unfamiliar number. He answered, stepping onto the back porch for privacy. A male voice, rough with alcohol and anger. "Stay away from my family." Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. "Who is this?" Harsh laughter. "You know who it is. You think you can just move in and play daddy? She's my daughter." Derek. Marcus's voice dropped to something cold and dangerous. "You signed away your rights 7 years ago." Derek's breathing was heavy, labored. "I was young.
See this? It's
I
the
made a
spark plug.
mistake.
Wow,
But
can I
she's
help?
still mine.
Go for it, sweetie.
And
Okay,
you,
let's tighten this.
you're just some pathetic old man trying to replace his dead kid." The words hit like a fist. Marcus forced himself to breathe, to respond with logic rather than rage. "Come near Emily or Mia again, and I'll have you arrested for violating the restraining order." Derek's laugh turned nasty. "Restraining order doesn't mean shit. I know where you live now. Nice house, safe neighborhood. But accidents happen, you know? Houses catch fire, cars get tampered with, people get hurt." The threat was clear enough. Marcus's voice stayed level despite the adrenaline flooding his system.
See
"Touch
this?
them
It's
and
the
I'll
spark
put
plug.
you in the ground."
Wow, can I help?
Go for it,
He hung
sweetie.
up before
Okay, let's
Derek
tighten
could
this.
respond, his hands shaking with suppressed violence. He stood on the porch for 10 minutes, forcing his heart rate down, his breathing to steady. Derek was drunk and making empty threats, he told himself. Nothing would come of it. But he called the police anyway, reported the threat, got a case number that meant nothing but created a paper trail. He called his security company, upgraded the system to include cameras at every entrance. He bought pepper spray and a baseball bat, kept them accessible but hidden from Mia's curious eyes. When Emily came home after midnight, Marcus told her about the call. She went pale, then angry, then collapsed into tears that she tried to hide behind her hands.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Marcus sat beside her
Wow,
on the
can
couch,
I help?
Go
not
for it,
touching,
sweetie.
but present,
Okay, let's tighten
letting her
this.
cry without trying to fix it or minimize it. When she finally spoke, her voice was raw. "I'm so sorry. I never should have gotten you involved in this. My mother, Derek, all of it. You didn't sign up for this level of crazy." Marcus's response came without hesitation. "I signed up exactly for this. All of it." Emily looked at him with red-rimmed eyes. Why? Why would anyone choose this? Marcus thought about his empty house, his purposeless days, the 5 years he had spent going through motions without meaning. Because saving someone else's kid gives me a reason to get up in the morning. Because maybe I can't fix
See this?
what
It's the
happened
spark
to
plug.
Ethan,
Wow, can
but
I
I
help?
can make sure
Go for it,
nothing
sweetie.
happens to
Okay,
Mia.
let's tighten this.
The honesty surprised them both. Emily reached out, her hand finding his, their fingers interlacing with a naturalness that should have felt foreign, but didn't. They sat in the darkened living room, holding hands like teenagers, neither willing to acknowledge what was happening between them. Friday afternoon brought the letter they had been dreading. Official notice from the Harris County Family Court. Alexandra Hartwell had filed for emergency custody of Mia Hartwell, citing inadequate living conditions, maternal neglect, and concern for the child's immediate safety. The hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. Emily read the document with shaking hands, her face cycling through emotions too quickly for Marcus
See
to
this?
track.
It's the spark plug.
When
Wow,
she finished,
can I help?
she set
Go
the
for
papers
it,
down
sweetie.
carefully,
Okay, let's
stood
tighten
up,
this.
and walked to the bathroom. Marcus heard the water running, heard the muffled sounds of someone trying not to break down completely. He knocked softly. "Emily?" Her voice came back thick with tears. "I need a minute." Marcus waited in the hallway, giving her space while staying close enough to help if needed. Mia appeared from her room, clutching her rabbit. "Is Mom okay?" Marcus crouched down to her level. "She's upset about some grown-up stuff. She'll be okay." Mia studied his face with those two old eyes. Is someone trying to take me away? The question froze Marcus's breath in his lungs. He wanted to lie,
See this?
to
It's the
protect her
spark
from
plug.
adult realities she
Wow,
was
can I
too
help?
young to understand.
Go for it, sweetie.
Okay,
But
let's
Mia
tighten
deserved
this.
honesty, deserved to know what was happening to her life. His voice came out gentle. Your grandmother wants you to live with her. Your mom is going to fight to keep you here. And I'm going to help. Mia processed this information with unusual calm. I don't want to live with someone I don't know. I want to stay with Mom. And with you. The casual inclusion of Marcus in her desired future hit harder than he expected. He pulled Mia into an awkward hug, his first instinct to comfort overriding his usual reluctance for physical contact. Then we'll
See
make
this?
sure
It's
that
the spark
happens.
plug.
Wow, can I help?
Emily emerged
for
from
it,
the
sweetie.
bathroom,
Okay,
her
let's
face
tighten
washed but eyes still red. She saw Marcus hugging Mia, and something shifted in her expression, gratitude mixed with something deeper, more complicated. That night, after Mia was asleep, Marcus and Emily sat at the kitchen table reviewing the custody petition. Diane had sent over her initial response strategy, highlighting the weaknesses in Alexandra's case, but also acknowledging the significant advantages wealth and connections provided. Emily's voice was hollow. She's going to win, isn't she? Marcus looked up from the legal documents, seeing the defeat already settling into Emily's posture. Not if we fight smart.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Emily laughed
Wow,
bitterly.
can I help?
Go for
Fight
it, sweetie.
smart against
Okay, let's
unlimited
tighten
money
this.
and the best lawyers in Texas? How exactly do we do that? Marcus leaned back, thinking about his years in the military, the lessons about asymmetric warfare and using your opponent's strengths against them. We use what we have. Community support, character witnesses, documentation of Mia's happiness and health under your care. He pulled out his phone, showed Emily the Facebook page someone had created for Mia's fundraiser. Over 5,000 followers now. People sharing stories of how Marcus had helped them over the years, pledging support for Emily and Mia. We have people. Your mother has money. People can be more powerful.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Emily
Wow,
scrolled
can I
through the
help?
comments,
Go for it,
her expression
sweetie.
shifting
Okay,
from
let's tighten
despair
this.
to cautious hope. You really think this can work? Marcus couldn't lie to her. I think we have a chance. That's more than nothing. They worked until 2 a.m., compiling lists of potential witnesses, documenting every interaction with Mia's doctors and teachers, building a case that would prove Emily's fitness as a parent despite her financial limitations. When Emily finally headed to bed, she paused in the doorway. Thank you for all of this, for believing in us when you had no reason to. Marcus met her eyes across the dim kitchen. I had plenty of reasons. They just didn't make sense until I met you. The moment stretched between them, charged with
See this?
possibilities
It's the spark
neither was
plug.
ready to name.
Wow,
Then
can
Emily
I help?
smiled,
Go for it,
small
sweetie.
and tired,
Okay,
but
let's tighten
genuine,
this.
and disappeared down the hallway. Marcus sat alone in the kitchen, the custody documents spread before him like battle plans. He thought about Alexandra's confident threats, Derek's drunken promises of violence, the uphill fight ahead of them. He should be terrified, should be reconsidering his involvement, protecting himself from the fallout that was surely coming. Instead, he felt more alive than he had in 5 years, energized by purpose and possibility. The house creaked around him, settling into its nighttime rhythms. From down the hall, he could hear Mia's soft breathing, Emily's lighter movements as she got ready for bed. Normal sounds.
See this?
Family
It's the
sounds.
spark plug.
Wow,
Marcus
can I
stood,
help?
Go
turned
for
off
it,
the
sweetie.
lights,
Okay, let's
paused by
tighten
Ethan's
this.
door on his way to his room. His hand rested on the knob as it did every night, but tonight the ritual felt different. Less like mourning, more like acknowledgement. He spoke to the darkness, his voice barely a whisper. I'm not replacing you, but I need to help them. I hope you'd understand. No answer came, but Marcus felt something shift inside himself. Permission, maybe, or forgiveness, or simply the recognition that holding on to grief with both hands meant he couldn't reach for anything else. He went to bed with his mind full of legal strategies and custody hearings and the monumental task they faced.
See this? It's the spark plug.
But underneath it
Wow,
all,
can I help?
beneath
Go
the
for it,
worry
sweetie.
and planning,
Okay, let's tighten this.
was something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The Harris County Courthouse stood imposing against a gray November sky, its limestone facade weathered by decades of Texas heat and human drama. Marcus pulled into the parking garage 2 hours before the scheduled hearing, his hands steady on the wheel despite the tension coiling in his gut. Emily sat beside him, dressed in the only professional outfit she owned, a dark blue dress Diane had helped her pick from a consignment shop. In the back seat, Mia clutched her rabbit, silent in the way children become when they sense adult anxiety too profound to name. They found Diane waiting in the hallway outside Family Court
See this?
Division
It's the
3.
spark plug.
Her briefcase
can I
open on a
help?
bench.
Go for it, sweetie.
Documents
Okay, let's
organized with the
tighten this.
precision of someone who had fought these battles too many times to count. She looked up as they approached, her expression settling into something between encouragement and grim realism. Diane's voice was low, meant only for their ears. Thomas Crane arrived 30 minutes ago with a paralegal and an associate. Alexandra is already inside with her own therapist on standby as a potential witness. Emily's face went pale beneath her careful makeup. Marcus placed a hand on the small of her back, a gesture of support that had become natural over the past 3 weeks of preparation and late-night strategy sessions. Diane continued, her tone shifting to something firmer.
See this?
Remember
it's the
what we
spark plug.
discussed.
Wow, can
Answer
I help?
only
Go for it,
what's
sweetie.
asked.
Okay,
Don't
let's tighten
volunteer
this.
information. If you need time to think, take it. And Emily, no matter what Crane says about your choices or your mother, stay calm. They entered the courtroom together, Marcus and Emily flanking Diane, while Mia was escorted to a separate waiting room with the child advocate. The space was smaller than Marcus expected, more institutional than dramatic. Fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows, wood paneling that had absorbed decades of testimony and tears. Alexandra sat at the plaintiff's table with Thomas Crane, her posture perfect, her suit tailored to project authority without ostentation. She didn't look at Emily as they entered, her gaze fixed straight
See
ahead
this?
like a
It's the spark
general
plug.
surveying a
Wow,
battlefield
can I
she
help?
expected
Go
to
for
win.
it, sweetie.
Okay, let's tighten
Judge
this.
Martha Henderson entered precisely at 9 a.m., her black robes settling around her like armor. She was older than her photograph suggested, her gray hair pulled back severely, her face lined with the weight of decisions that shaped children's lives. Her voice carried the weary authority of someone who had heard every excuse and witnessed every tragedy. We're here regarding the petition for emergency custody, filed by Alexandra Hartwell, concerning the minor child, Mia Hartwell. Let's proceed. Thomas Crane stood, his movements calculated to project confidence, bordering on inevitability. Your Honor, my client seeks custody of her granddaughter out of
See this?
genuine
It's the spark
concern for
plug.
the child's
Wow,
welfare.
can I help?
Go
Ms.
for
Emily
it, sweetie.
Hartwell,
Okay, let's
despite her
tighten this.
obvious affection for her daughter, lacks the financial resources, stable housing, and mature judgment necessary to provide adequate care. He presented his case with surgical efficiency. Photographs of Emily's former apartment, documentation of her poverty-level income, medical records showing Mia's condition deteriorating due to delayed surgery. Each piece of evidence landed like a hammer blow, building a narrative of maternal failure through circumstance rather than malice. Crane called Alexandra to the stand first, and she moved with the grace of someone accustomed to commanding rooms. Under his questioning, she painted herself as a concerned grandmother who had watched from a distance as her daughter struggled,
See this?
who had
It's the
offered
spark
help
plug.
only
Wow,
to be
can I help?
rejected
Go
by
for it,
stubborn
sweetie.
pride.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Her voice caught with practiced emotion when she described learning about Mia's heart condition. I would have paid for everything immediately, the surgery, the aftercare, whatever she needed. But Emily wouldn't even speak to me until it became a crisis. Diane stood for cross-examination, her approach scalpel sharp. Mrs. Hartwell, when did you first learn of Mia's existence? Alexandra's composure flickered. Emily cut off contact when she was pregnant. I didn't know about the birth until several years later, Diane pressed. But you've had private investigators tracking your daughter for 8 years. You knew about Mia within weeks of her birth,
See
didn't
this?
you?
It's the spark plug.
Crane objected,
Wow,
but the
can I
damage
help?
was done.
Go for it, sweetie.
Alexandra's
Okay, let's
admitted
tighten
surveillance
this.
painted her concern in a different light. Less loving grandmother, more controlling matriarch. Diane continued. In those 8 years, how many times did you attempt to contact Emily directly? Alexandra's jaw tightened. She made it clear she wanted no relationship. Diane's voice sharpened. That's not what I asked. How many times, Mrs. Hartwell? Alexandra's admission came quietly. None. The courtroom silence felt heavy. Diane let the answer hang before asking her next question. So your first direct contact with your daughter in 8 years was to demand custody of her child in exchange for medical care? Crane's objection was sustained, but the point
See
had
this?
landed.
It's the spark plug.
Judge Henderson
Wow,
made
can I
notes,
help?
Go
her
for it,
expression
sweetie.
unreadable.
Okay, let's
When
tighten
Emily
this.
took the stand, Crane attacked with the precision of a surgeon, identifying weak points. He walked her through every job change, every missed rent payment, every time Mia had gone to bed hungry because money ran out before the month ended. Crane's voice carried mock sympathy. You love your daughter, don't you, Miss Hartwell? Emily's response was immediate. More than anything. Crane nodded as if this confirmed something. Then surely you must recognize that loving her means wanting the best for her. And the best is financial security, medical care, educational opportunities your mother can provide, but you cannot. Emily's hands gripped the witness stand, her knuckles
See
white.
this? It's the spark plug.
The best
Wow,
is
can
being
I
with her
help?
mother
Go
who
for
loves
it,
her.
sweetie.
Okay, let's
Money
tighten
can't
this.
replace that. Crane pounced. But money can save her life. The surgery she needs costs $80,000. You don't have $80,000, do you? Emily's voice wavered. No, but we've raised... Crane interrupted. How much have you raised through fundraising and donations? Emily's answer came quietly. 23,000. Crane's expression conveyed pity as artificial as his sympathy. Still 57,000 short with 2 weeks until the surgery deadline. How do you plan to make up that difference? Emily looked at Diane, who gave a slight nod. Emily's voice steadied.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Marcus Reed
Wow,
has
can I
committed
help?
his savings
Go for it,
to
sweetie.
cover the
Okay,
remaining
let's
costs.
tighten this.
Crane seized the opening. Ah, yes, Mr. Reed. The mechanic you've been living with for 3 weeks. Tell me, Miss Hartwell, how long have you known Mr. Reed? Emily calculated quickly. About 6 weeks? Crane's eyebrows rose theatrically. 6 weeks? And in that time, he's given you free car repairs, organized fundraisers, offered you housing, and now committed $45,000 of his savings to your daughter's medical care. That seems extraordinarily generous for a virtual stranger. Emily's voice hardened. Marcus is a good person who saw someone in need and helped.
See this? It's the spark plug.
Crane's smile
Wow,
was thin.
can I help?
Go for it,
Or
sweetie.
he's a lonely
Okay,
widower
let's tighten this.
who lost his own child and is trying to replace that loss by inserting himself into your family. Diane's objection was immediate, but Crane had already moved on, having planted the seed of doubt about Marcus's motivations. He questioned Emily about her move into Marcus's house, implying the arrangement was fraudulent, designed solely to deceive CPS. When Marcus took the stand, Crane's approach shifted to something more aggressive, less pretense of sympathy. He established Marcus's background, the accident, Sarah's departure, the 5 years of self-imposed isolation. Crane's voice carried false concern. You've suffered
See this?
tremendous
It's the
loss,
spark
Mr.
plug.
Reed.
Wow,
Anyone would
can I
understand
help?
your desire
for
to
it,
fill that
sweetie.
void.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Marcus's response was flat. I'm not trying to fill a void. Crane consulted his notes. You keep your deceased son's room exactly as it was 5 years ago. Untouched, unopened. That suggests unresolved grief, doesn't it? Marcus felt his chest tighten but kept his voice level. It suggests I'm not ready to let go. That's not the same thing. Crane pressed. Your ex-wife left because she believed you were responsible for your son's death. Do you blame yourself? The question landed like a physical blow. Marcus forced himself to breathe, to answer with the truth Diane had coached him to offer. I blame the drunk driver
See this?
who ran
It's
the
the
red
spark plug.
light.
Wow,
But
can
yes,
I help?
part
Go
of me
for
will
it,
always
sweetie.
wonder if I
Okay,
could have
let's
done
tighten
something
this.
different. Crane's voice softened into something almost gentle, making the attack more devastating. And now you're trying to save Mia because you couldn't save Ethan. You're using this little girl to work through your own trauma. Marcus's voice came out harder than he intended. I'm helping a child who needs help. My reasons don't change the fact that Mia is loved and cared for by her mother. Diane's redirect was brief but pointed. She had Marcus describe his observations of Emily's parenting, the patient homework help, the creative meals on a limited budget, the bedtime
See
stories
this? It's the
and
spark
morning
plug.
routines
Wow,
that spoke
can
of
I help?
genuine care.
Go for it, sweetie.
Okay,
She had
let's
him
tighten
detail
this.
Mia's transformation from the anxious child he first met to the happy, confident girl who now drew pictures of their house and called it home. Judge Henderson called for a brief recess before character witnesses. Marcus found Emily in the hallway, her makeup streaked from crying she had tried to hide. He didn't offer empty reassurances, just stood beside her in silence that communicated more than words could. When court resumed, Diane called Mrs. Chen, Mia's third-grade teacher. The elderly woman took the stand with the dignity of someone who had spent 40 years shaping young minds and knew what genuine care looked like. Her voice was clear despite her age.
See this? It's the
Mia
spark plug.
is one of the
Wow,
brightest,
can I help?
most
Go for it,
emotionally
sweetie.
intelligent
Okay, let's
students I've
tighten
taught.
this.
She's kind to classmates, excels academically despite her medical challenges, and speaks constantly about her mother with obvious love and admiration. Diane asked about the recent months. Have you noticed any changes since Emily moved in with Mr. Reed? Mrs. Chen smiled. Mia brings better lunches now. Her homework is always complete. She talks about family dinners and helping Mr. Marcus in his garden. She seems happier, more secure. Crane's cross-examination tried to suggest Mia was repeating coached stories, but Mrs. Chen shut him down with the authority of decades in education. I've taught long enough to
See
know
this?
the
It's
difference
the spark
between
plug.
a child repeating
Wow,
rehearsed
can I help?
lines
Go
and
for
a
it,
child
sweetie.
sharing genuine
Okay, let's tighten
experiences.
this.
Mia is genuinely happy. Robert, Emily's boss at the diner, testified next about her work ethic and reliability. He described a woman who had never missed a shift, who took on extra hours whenever possible, who treated customers with grace even when exhausted. His voice carried working-class solidarity. Emily's good people. She works harder than anyone I know. Just because she's poor doesn't mean she's a bad mother. The statement hung in the courtroom like a challenge. Judge Henderson made more notes. Jennifer Palmer, the CPS caseworker, provided the most damaging testimony for Alexandra's case. She described her initial concerns about Emily's living conditions and her subsequent satisfaction with the improvements.
See this?
Diane
It's the
asked
spark plug.
pointedly,
Wow,
"Did you
can I
find
help?
any evidence
Go
of
for it,
neglect
sweetie.
or abuse?"
Okay, let's tighten this.
Jennifer's response was firm. None. Emily loves her daughter and provides appropriate care within her means. The housing situation has been resolved. I recommended closing the case. Crane tried to resurrect the fraud angle, but Jennifer shut it down. I conducted multiple unscheduled visits. The living arrangement is genuine. Mia has her own room, her own space, stability she lacked before. Judge Henderson called for lunch recess, announcing she would hear from Mia in chambers afterward. Marcus, Emily, and Diane sat in a nearby deli, too anxious to eat the sandwiches they had ordered. Emily's voice was hollow. She's going to ask Mia who she wants to live with.
See this?
What if
It's
Mia
the
says
spark
the
plug.
wrong thing?
Wow, can I help?
What if she's
Go
too
for it,
nervous to
sweetie.
express
Okay,
herself?
let's tighten this.
Diane's response was gentle but honest. Mia's old enough that her preference will carry significant weight. We have to trust that she'll speak her truth. Marcus thought about the little girl with the worn rabbit, her old soul wisdom that saw through adult pretense to the heart of things. He trusted Mia to know her own mind, even if the adults around her couldn't see clearly. When court resumed, only Judge Henderson, Mia, and the lawyers entered chambers. Marcus and Emily waited in the hallway, each minute stretching into eternity. Alexandra stood at the opposite end, her posture betraying none of the anxiety Marcus suspected she felt. 40 minutes passed before
See
the
this?
doors
It's
opened.
the spark plug.
Mia
Wow,
emerged,
can I help?
holding the
Go
child
for it,
advocate's
sweetie.
hand,
Okay, let's
her
tighten
face
this.
serious but calm. She walked directly to Emily, climbing into her mother's lap with the unself-conscious affection of a child who had never doubted her welcome. Emily held her daughter close, whispering questions Mia answered with nods and small sounds of reassurance. Marcus watched them together, the bond so obvious it seemed impossible any court could sever it. Judge Henderson called everyone back into the courtroom, her expression revealing nothing of her thoughts. She settled into her chair, reviewed her notes for several long minutes, then looked up at the assembled parties. Her voice carried the weight of final judgment. I have reviewed all evidence and testimony. I've spoken
See
with
this?
Mia
It's the spark
extensively
plug.
about her wishes
Wow, can I
and
help?
her understanding
it,
of this
sweetie.
situation.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Emily's hand found Marcus's, her grip desperate. He squeezed back, offering what support he could through simple contact. Judge Henderson continued. Mrs. Hartwell, your concern for your granddaughter is evident. Your resources are considerable. In purely material terms, you could provide advantages Emily cannot match. Alexandra's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture. The first hint of triumph. The judge's next words erased it. However, this court's primary consideration is the child's best interest, which extends beyond material comfort to emotional security, stability, and the preservation of healthy parental bonds.
See this? It's the
She
spark
looked
plug.
directly at Emily.
Wow, can I help?
Miss
Go
Hartwell,
for it, sweetie.
you've made
Okay,
mistakes.
let's tighten this.
You've struggled financially, but you've never failed to put your daughter's needs first. The evidence shows Mia is thriving under your care, particularly since you've stabilized your housing situation. Judge Henderson's gaze moved to Alexandra. Mrs. Hartwell, you've demonstrated concern, but your 8-year absence from Emily's life raises serious questions about your motivations. Your attempt to leverage medical necessity into custody modification suggests a pattern of using resources as control mechanisms. Alexandra's composure cracked, hurt flashing across her face before she could mask it. Crane placed a hand on her arm in silent caution. Judge Henderson delivered her ruling. I'm denying the petition for emergency
See this?
custody.
It's the spark plug.
Physical custody
Wow, can I
remains
help?
with Emily
Go
Hartwell.
for it, sweetie.
Okay,
Emily's
let's tighten
sob of
this.
relief was audible throughout the courtroom. Mia hugged her mother tighter, understanding enough to know they had won something important. But the judge wasn't finished. However, I'm ordering shared legal custody. Mrs. Hartwell, you will have input on major medical and educational decisions. You will also have supervised visitation rights, 2 afternoons per week, to be scheduled at Emily's convenience. She looked at both women with an expression that had seen too many families destroy themselves. I'm also ordering family counseling for all 3 of you. You need to learn how to co-parent Mia without using her as a weapon in whatever war you've been fighting for 8 years. Her gavel came down with finality. This hearing is adjourned. The
See
courtroom
this? It's the
erupted
spark
in
plug.
quiet chaos.
Wow, can I
Diane was
help?
already
Go for
gathering
it,
papers,
sweetie.
Okay,
providing
let's tighten
Emily with
this.
information about next steps and visitation schedules. Marcus stood back, giving mother and daughter space to process their relief. Alexandra remained at her table, Crane speaking to her in low, urgent tones. She looked across the courtroom at Emily, and for the first time, Marcus saw past the corporate armor to something raw beneath. Not anger or triumph, but loss. Emily noticed too. She stood, still holding Mia, and walked toward her mother with steps that seemed to cost her everything. Marcus wanted to stop her, to protect her from more pain, but recognized this was her choice to make. Emily's voice was
See
quiet
this? It's
when
the
she
spark
spoke,
plug.
Wow,
audible
can I
only
help?
because
Go
the
for it,
courtroom had
sweetie.
gone silent.
Okay, let's tighten this.
Thank you for caring, even if you showed it wrong. Alexandra's mask crumbled completely. Tears spilled down her face, aging her a decade in seconds. I don't know how to do this. How to be in your life without controlling it. Emily's own tears fell freely. Neither do I, but maybe we figure it out together. Mia reached out from Emily's arms, her small hand extended toward the grandmother she had never met. Alexandra took it with shaking fingers, her breath hitching on something between a laugh and a sob. They stood there in the empty courtroom, 3 generations of
See
women
this? It's
who
the
had
spark
hurt
plug.
each other
Wow,
and
can I
been
help?
hurt,
Go for it, sweetie.
beginning the
Okay, let's
fragile
tighten
work
this.
of healing. Marcus watched from a distance, understanding his role was to support, not intrude. Later, in the parking garage, Emily collapsed against her car, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. Marcus caught her before she could slide to the ground, holding her steady while she shook with delayed reaction. Her voice was muffled against his chest. We won. I can't believe we actually won. Marcus's arms tightened around her, the embrace crossing boundaries they had been carefully maintaining. You won. I just helped. Emily pulled back enough to look at him, her eyes red but clear.
See this? It's the spark plug.
No,
Wow, can I help?
we won.
Go for it, sweetie.
This
Okay,
was
let's
never
tighten this.
just my fight. Mia tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Does this mean we still live together? The question carried more weight than a child should have to carry. Marcus crouched down to her level. If that's what your mom wants. Mia looked at Emily, who nodded through her tears. Mia threw her arms around Marcus's neck. Good, because you're family now. The declaration settled over them like a benediction. Marcus closed his eyes, feeling something shift fundamentally in his chest. Not the replacement of what was lost, but the recognition that love could exist in more than one form, that healing
See
didn't
this?
mean
It's the spark plug.
forgetting.
Wow, can I
They
help?
drove home
Go for
through
it,
Houston
sweetie.
traffic.
Okay, let's tighten
Mia
this.
chattering excitedly about returning to school tomorrow with good news. Emily silent beside Marcus as she processed everything that had happened. When they pulled into the driveway, the house looked different somehow, less like a temporary shelter and more like home. That night, after Mia was asleep, Marcus found Emily on the back porch. She had changed into comfortable clothes, her hair down from its professional style, looking more herself than she had in weeks. She glanced up as he joined her. I've been thinking about what happens next. Marcus settled into the chair beside hers. What do you mean? Emily's
See this?
voice
It's the
carried
spark
careful
plug.
consideration.
Wow, can I help?
Go for
The
it,
custody
sweetie.
battle is
Okay,
over.
let's tighten this.
CPS closed their case. Mia's surgery is scheduled for next week with all funds secured. The reasons you offered us your house, they're resolved. Understanding hit Marcus like cold water. She was offering him an exit, a return to the solitary life he had maintained so carefully before they crashed into it. His response came without hesitation. Are you asking me if I want you to leave? Emily met his eyes. I'm asking if you're ready for us to stay. The distinction mattered. Marcus thought about his morning routine, now including the sound of Mia's laughter and the smell of Emily's coffee.
See this?
He
It's
thought
the
about
spark plug.
evenings spent
Wow,
helping
can
with
I help?
homework,
Go for
weekends
it, sweetie.
working in the
Okay,
garden,
let's tighten
while
this.
Mia narrated elaborate stories to her rabbit. He thought about the way his house felt lived in again, full of voices and life and mess. He thought about Ethan's door, still closed, but no longer quite so heavy with grief. His voice came out rougher than intended. I want you to stay, both of you, for as long as you need. Emily's smile was complicated, relief and hope, and something deeper that neither of them was ready to name. And if it turns into longer than need? If it becomes want? Marcus reached across the space
See
between
this?
their
It's the
chairs,
spark plug.
his hand
Wow,
finding
can
hers.
I help?
Go for it,
Then
sweetie.
we figure
Okay,
it out
let's
as we
tighten
go.
this.
They sat in companionable silence, hands linked, watching stars emerge in the Texas sky. Tomorrow would bring Mia's pre-surgery appointments. Next week would bring the operation itself. 6 hours of waiting and hoping and prayer. The weeks after would bring recovery and Alexandra's scheduled visits and the complicated work of rebuilding a fractured family. But tonight, they had won something worth celebrating. Tonight, they were together, and that was enough. Marcus looked up at the stars, thinking about Ethan, about the conversation he had never gotten to have with his son, about what comes after loss, how life continues even when it seems impossible. He spoke to the darkness, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm not replacing you, but I'm learning how to live again. I hope that's okay. No answer came from the stars, but Marcus felt something like peace settling over him. Not closure, but acceptance. The grief would always be there, but it no longer had to be the only thing defining his existence. Emily squeezed his hand, understanding without needing explanation. They sat together until the night grew cold, then went inside to the house they were learning to share, to the life they were tentatively building from pieces of what was broken. Family, Marcus was learning, wasn't just blood or legal documents. It was choice, made new every day. It was showing up when things got hard. It was loving broken people and letting them love you back. It was this.